how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. I am back from my vacation. You cannot really tell because I don't tan as well as other people, but I'm proud of myself this time because I actually managed to stay in the sun without complaining, and it was a really successful, wonderful, much needed vacation. In terms of content, I've been watching a lot of screen time to reading time vlogs where people take the stats from their phones and analyze their screen time and where they spend it, and then exchange the screen time for reading time. I'm a very nosy person, so I like seeing what people do on their phones, and I was surprised that no one is using their phones the way I do, because my screen time stats are very different. I'm taking the stats from 4th of July to 11th of July, and that week I spent 48 hours and 25 minutes on my phone. I was on my vacation, so it tracks. My biggest 5 time-consuming apps are Safari, which took around 16 hours, and I know why. It's basically me doom scrolling the news. The next 2 apps actually please me because they are my reading apps, and the pink one is the one that I'm reading my fan fiction on, and we're going to count that as reading because it is reading, and also this challenge is gonna be impossible. So I've spent about 8 hours reading fan fiction, and the third app is my reading app for regular ebooks, and I've spent about 5 hours on it. Then I've spent around 5 hours on Telegram, which is an app that I use for communication with my friends, family, etc. And I've spent about 5 hours on YouTube. So this is my top 5. I also have Maps here, Reddit, WhatsApp. WhatsApp is also a communication app. I have my camera here, I have my notes here, I have Goodreads, but they took much less time. Since technically with this challenge we're trying to exchange bad habits with good habits, I'm not going to count my communication with people that I love as a bad habit. So I've counted that minus the reading apps and chat apps, I've spent on my phone about 30 hours. It was actually 30 hours and 6 minutes, but we're going to take 30 hours as our number. And in this video, I will try to split this 30 hours among the 7 days of the week and read. My eyes look crazy, you guys. I don't know what happened, but they're so puffy and red. It looks like an allergy or some kind of an irritation. Happy Tuesday. I'm not sure a Tuesday can be happy, at least it's not a Monday. I am on a tiny bit of a break, drinking my coffee in the morning, and I wanted to update you on my progress. I went to my parents yesterday, was listening to the audiobook on my way there, spent some time with them, collected some fresh produce from their garden. It was a good time. I love stealing their produce because it's organic, and the taste of supermarket tomatoes or cucumbers can never compare. It's not the same thing. And then I started reading, and it took a really long time for it to stop. So I dived into the supermarket, bought some produce, wanted to film a grocery haul, but then, are you really interested in that? I don't think so. I think some of you, or like maybe the biggest part of you, are more interested in books, and you're not here for the details of my personal life. But tell me in the comments down below, maybe you actually want to see more of my regular daily content. We'll see. In total, I spent 2 hours and 30 minutes listening to my audiobook. which is not a very satisfactory result in my opinion, because I wanted to go for 4 hours, but I'm not giving up yet. The book that I'm listening to at the moment is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I just picked it, my Goodreads. The thing about this book is it's extremely hyped. I've seen it on a lot of people's best books of 2021, and I am very confused because I'm not liking it as much as other people do. First of all, I think the problem is I'm listening to it as an audiobook, and some of the names of the characters are similar, so I mix them up, and it takes a bit of time for me to figure out who's talking, or rather whose point of view it is. That is an issue. I have to constantly rewind back to listen again. And it was pitched to me as a dark academia-esque book, and while they are in academia, I don't feel like it is dark academia. It reads like a regular university or school-based thriller / mystery. What I enjoy about the novel, though, is the main protagonist. There are a lot of point of views. The story follows a group of friends that meet at an alumni event a few years after they finished their university. They were very close in uni and even had a nickname, the East House 7, but their friendship was torn apart because one girl in their group, Heather, got brutally murdered, and one of the guys named Jack, her boyfriend at the time, was blamed for her murder. He was let go at the end, so no one really knows who killed her, and all these people have a lot of secrets that get revealed throughout the story. This is a solid concept, I think. We start with Jessie, who is an extremely self-conscious perfectionist, and she's very jealous of the successes of her friends and other people. As I said, she is the character I'm most interested in. She's incredibly unlikable, but there's something about her, something so rotten, that I really gravitate to. As you know, I love a bastard. I already told you, I love a bastard in this kind of stories. The weirder the character is in a thriller, the more I enjoy them, so I do really enjoy her. The other characters, though, I'm not that interested in. There were some glimpses and scenes that I found fascinating from their past, but otherwise I'm not very invested in this book. I think it's gonna be like a 3-star for the scope of the story and how twisty it is, but I don't feel a connection to it. I definitely can drop it any moment and not feel any type of way about not knowing who's done it. Also, I found it a bit funny that the title of the book is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and the cover has scissors on it. Turns out the object Heather was killed with was a pair of scissors, I think. And I think scissors just didn't sound as good in the title. Anyway, I'm going to finish this one today, hopefully, and move on to something else. I'm reading some ebooks at the same time as usual. I also reorganized my bookshelf. Maybe I will show it to you. And now I feel more inclined to pick up physical books. Maybe I will do something that is unheard on this channel and pick up a book from my shelves. this is a box of picture frames. There are a lot of picture frames here, and most of them I bought from a guy from like a local marketplace. And for the amount of money that he asked, it was a steal, so I had to. Some of this I will probably need to give to other people or even throw away. I see there are some really ugly ones here as well. So today we're just going to sort through them. If my face looks weird, it's because I'm still experiencing this weird allergy thingy. This eye got better, this eye got worse, and now I feel like something weighs down on my eyes and I'm very sleepy because of it. Maybe I will go to a doctor if it's not going to get better by the weekends, because I actually have plans on the weekends and I cannot go in public looking like that.
Get used to disappointment.
Anyway, I'm also reading a new book. You probably already saw it because I filmed the close-ups. It's Passions of the Wicked Earl by 𝕊𝕊𝕙𝕊𝕙𝕊, my first 𝕊𝕊𝕙𝕊𝕙𝕊, and so far, a pretty good 𝕊𝕊𝕙𝕊𝕙. I'm pretty pumped for it. I'm excited. Let's talk about In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, because I finished it. I read it for 1 hour 30 minutes yesterday, and I also read this for 2 hours. So yesterday I spent 3 hours and 30 minutes reading. Once again, not hitting my goals at all, but I'm a work in progress. Anyway, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Still a 3-star despite all the plot twists at the end. I was just not connected to the characters and to the story, so I think I didn't care as much as other people about the book. If it's your favorite, it's valid, nothing against it. It just wasn't my cup of tea, I think. Moving on to the Passions of Wicked Earl. This goes into the trash, because this is very flimsy and it falls apart. But my tablet is here, I need to move it. Let's do this. So this is the trash pile. What do we think? I mean, it's also very flimsy, but it could probably be salvaged with some glue. I'm not especially interested in this picture, which is in pencil, and I think it's some kind of a fishing village. Okay, trash for now. This is trash. This is like the most generic thing I've ever seen. This and this. The taste left the building. Anyway, the book is about, I forgot the names, wait a second. Morgan and Claire. Morgan and Claire were betrothed before Claire was even born. It was a deal that their father came up with. They wanted to connect the families and the eldest to enter a union. Claire and Morgan, was he Morgan? Wow. Yes, Morgan. Claire and Morgan were never friends as children, because Morgan was 8 years older than her, and she actually spent a lot of time with his brother, Stephen. That's actually a very important detail, because later when Morgan's father died and they had to honor the deal because Morgan wanted Claire's dowry, Claire was so afraid of Morgan because she didn't know him, she came up with a stupid plan with Stephen that would potentially repel Morgan from their bedroom, at least for a few nights. The plan was so epically idiotic, I kind of spent a few long minutes trying to convince myself that I believe it. Oh, this is cute actually. Look at this. It is cute. Maybe I will even leave the picture. As I said, the plan was so dumb, I can't believe they decided to go with it, but they went with it. On their wedding night, Stephen, Morgan's brother, weaseled himself into Claire's bedroom and pretended that they have an affair, I guess, because he was half naked and laying in her bed. Obviously, Morgan got pissed off and he beat up Stephen, and he told his new wife that they're not going to live together, that he's going to send her to the country to care for their estate, and that he doesn't want to do anything with her, that they're going to stay married, one day maybe have heirs, and that she's not allowed to cheat on him. So basically, the marriage didn't start on the right foot. A few years passed. Morgan is still devastated by his broken marriage, and he's trying to sleep with as many women as possible because that's what men do apparently, or so this book said, that that's what men do. Anyway, he's trying to sleep with as many women as possible to sort of forget about Claire, who apparently he actually liked, even though he didn't know her at all, but she was very attractive. 17, and he admits more child than a woman, but he was still very attracted to her. Yikes. Now he's very resentful of her, and he doesn't talk with his brother Steven, obviously. I don't know what Steven thought is going to happen, because that was the stupidest decision ever. Claire's father is a despot, and her younger sister is supposed to get married soon to a horrible titled gentleman. Everyone knows that he is absolutely fucking terrible. So her father allows her little sister one season. If she's going to find a husband, she's allowed to not keep her promises to that gentleman. Claire is asked to be the person to give her a season, basically to show her the ropes, even though Claire herself never had a season. And she knows that because of her reputation and because of the way her husband Morgan acts, everyone knows that he has many lovers and that their marriage is basically in shambles. She knows that her sister is not going to get the season that she needs. So she decides to visit Morgan in London without telling him beforehand, and she says that she wants to restore their marriage, that what happened in their youth was a stupid mistake and that they need to actually be wife and husband. What I'm liking about this novel is that it actually has tangible conflict, and that Morgan is not a fucking oaf. He actually is capable of analyzing the situation, analyzing his feelings, and he does admit that maybe he acted a bit too quickly without thinking, and that he doesn't really know Claire, and that his youthful idea that she'd be immediately attracted to him and that she'd be immediately comfortable with him and will want him was naive at best. His motives also were not pure-hearted. He really needed her dowry. Anyway, this book is really fun and the characters feel very grounded, so I'm excited to read more. I'm about 100 pages in, and I think I will maybe even finish it today. We'll see. Hi. It's actually Friday. I missed my Wednesday and Thursday update. On Wednesday, I've read an hour of this, Passions of a Wicked Earl, and I'm really into it, actually. I think 𝕊𝕌ℙ𝕙𝕃 might become a favorite. She's not a Tessa Dare, as in she doesn't write a lot of humorous moments, but what I really like about her writing so far is that she's really good at writing small found family moments, and I enjoy that, obviously. Beth, the little sister of Claire, comes to visit them because she is supposed to do a season. And the way Claire, Beth, and Morgan interact is so cute, especially Morgan and Beth, because she helps him realize that Claire, when they were supposed to get married, was extremely young, and the things that he expected from her. See, I'm crying. It's just an involuntary reaction, I'm sorry. She helps him realize that Claire was way too young for all the expectations that he had for her. I also have another 𝕊𝕊𝕻𝕻𝕻 on my shelves, and I will read it with great pleasure. I will also look into my Scribd and bookmark some 𝕊𝕊𝕻𝕻 for sure. I know that Jessica from PeaceLoveBooksxo loves 𝕊𝕊𝕻𝕻𝕻 and loves her work. I do really enjoy her channel and I love her, but our tastes do not match in every single way when it comes to romance. I prefer more lighthearted stuff and she loves full drama. And so I was curious about 𝕊𝕊𝕻𝕻𝕻, but I wasn't sure she could be a fave. I'm pretty confident that she could be now. The other book that I also started, I started it on the plane back, but I stopped reading it. I'm a mood reader. It's Fevered Star by Rebecca Warrenhorse, and I only managed to read it for 30 minutes. As I've said, have some issues with my eyes right now. So on Wednesday, I read for 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's a train wreck. And on Thursday, I will also spend another hour reading Fevered Star and 30 minutes reading this. So 3 hours in total for these 2 days. I'm failing behind. Majorly failing behind, but all my plans for the weekends got cancelled because of this situation, so I might actually be able to read more. Fevered Star was on my most anticipated of 2022. I want to say 2023. I live in the future. I loved the first book so much. The problem with the second book is I'm a little bit struggling with what happened at the end of the first book. I forgot a lot of details and a lot of characters. That's the problem with serialized fantasy in general, because with series, if you read a book last year and the new one is coming out next year, you kind of forget everything, especially if you read a lot. So I'm struggling a little bit with the characters, but there's a good glossary at the start of the book, and I am trying to get in the groove of things. I do have an audio on Scribd as well of this book, so I might actually start listening to the audiobook, but with fantasy, it's always a struggle when it comes to audiobooks for me, so I prefer to read ebooks. But I will try, especially considering my situation right now. It might be the right choice. We'll see. So far, I'm glad that Serapio is back. I'm glad that Rebecca Warrenhorse realized that he's literally the character everyone is reading for this book. Well, Ziala as well, but I don't know if she's gonna be in this book. And I cannot wait to dive a little bit into the whole mafia-esque element, because it was introduced in the first book, but we didn't get much of it. And also there's a new character in this book, and we get introduced to the beliefs of the different clans and people that apparently have been scheming this whole time. I'm very interested how she's going to continue on with this plot, because the first book felt a bit done, as in the story felt done. I couldn't see how she's going to develop it from there, but she's trying, she's making the moves, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's the weekends, I'm really happy, and I might look high. I'm not. It's just because my eyes are still watering and stuff. I just had some lunch. Look at the mess. I also had some boba, because why not? I'm here to give you some updates. I spent the night at my parents' house because I was too lazy to come back home. And instead of reading, I watched a movie with my mom, as I usually do. But then I, as a good girl, went to read and spent 2 hours reading 𝕊𝕻𝕻𝕻𝕻 book. What's very charming too about her novels is that she introduces all these people into her books and talks about not just the heroine and hero, but also about their families and the relationships between them, and you actually start caring. I actually want to know what's gonna happen with the other brothers. I want to know what's gonna happen to Morgan's mom. So props to Lorraine Heath. I did not expect to love her work this much. Also, trigger warning for animal death in this novel, because that was tragic. It made me cry even more than I'm crying right now. I also switched to an audiobook of Favorite Star and did some chores around the house, and I am really enjoying it. The audiobook is really good. I expected it to be difficult to listen to because fantasy audiobooks are a nightmare to me. Nothing is worse. I don't understand anything when I listen to them. So this was a very welcome surprise because I can continue listening to this book and get my hours in. I actually am so behind. I'm just incapable of forcing myself into anything. So it's difficult for me to develop habits that I genuinely do not want to develop. Anyway, I've spent another 2 hours listening to the Rebecca Roanhorse book. So in total for Friday we have 4 hours, which is better. I need to count all the hours and figure out what I need to do today in terms of reading and tomorrow, because we only have 2 days left. I have to go to pick up my brother's gift because it's his birthday today, and hopefully it will take about 2 hours, so I will have time to listen to my audiobook. It's finally time to finish off this challenge. I'm so exhausted. Just mentally insert the meme of I'm actually allergic to limes, because I'm actually allergic to reading now.
I'm allergic to limes.
I'm not sure I will ever read because reading sucks. I hate it. I definitely bet more than I can chew. I have not counted the hours, but I can already tell that I have not read for 30 hours last week, and I am fully okay with that because at this point I don't even care. I'm going to do the stats though because that's why you're here. On Saturday, I read Favorite Star for 3 hours. I was listening to the audiobook while doing things. Then I went to a birthday party and I couldn't listen to my audiobook, even though sometimes I really wanted to. Then I came back home and read Passions of a Wicked Earl for 1 hour and 30 minutes, almost finished it, but then wanted to go to sleep. Then on Sunday, I finished Passions of a Wicked Earl. I've read it for 1 hour and 15 minutes. I listened to Favorite Star for 3 more hours, and then I started something new. I started another book by Lorraine Heath, and I read it for 1 hour. I know for sure that I miss a few hours to get to 30, but I have read more than I usually read in a week, which I guess was the point of this video. We're changing the point of this video so I could win. The only thing that I'm going to take from this experiment is that forcing myself to do something that I don't want to do is bad. And I shouldn't do it because I lose my passion for the hobbies that I like. And challenges like that are not for everyone. I am going to talk about the books now. Let's start with Favorite Star actually, because that's the book that I have not finished and I intended to finish it in this video. I have a few hours left, and while I'm enjoying it, it's not as exciting as the first book. It suffers from the middle book syndrome as most second book in the trilogies do. Actually, I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy or not. It might be 4 or 5 books. There's definitely enough material. I am going to finish it later because I actually do want to finish it with my eyes, as in I want to read the ebook. Then I finished Passions of a Wicked Earl by Lorraine Heath. There was a moment where I thought I'm going to give it 5 stars. At the end, it turned a bit melodramatic, and Lorraine Heath introduced some plot twists that were pretty expected, and they were soapy, pretty soapy, and I did not like them all that much, as in I could think of something more original, but it didn't diminish my enjoyment of the book overall. I genuinely really like this, and I'm glad this is my introduction to Louise Heath. By the way, trigger warning for loss of a child, because losing a dog was not enough, apparently. Then I stopped listening to The Fever Star, as we all know, and decided to read another Louise Heath that I own. This actually, to my disappointment, is the third book in the series. Passions of a Wicked Earl is the first one. This one is much more angsty and devastating. 3 years prior to the events of this book, Ainsley and Wentworth went on a bit of a drunken adventure because Wentworth's wife, Grace, told him that she's pregnant, and he was so happy he wanted to celebrate. He took a carriage through the city, which, because of their inebriation, resulted, I wanted to say a car crash, but it wasn't a carriage crash, an accident. Ainsley got out of it fairly unscathed, but Wentworth got under the wheels and became paralyzed from waist down. His wife Grace, because of all the worrying, lost the child. So Ainsley now feels guilty and indebted to Wentworth because he was the one driving the carriage. And at the start of the novel, he visits him as he usually does. They get drunk, and Wentworth asks him for a favor. He says that he's going to forgive him if he's going to impregnate his wife. The situation is very dramatic already and angsty because it's starting to feel like Wentworth is cursing Grace into it. Already I can see how the situation is going to be further complicated if they're going to go through with it. They're not doing well marriage-wise. I would have actually wanted to see their relationship developed because I would think that it would have been a more compelling story, but Louise Heath went for something forbidden and dramatic instead, so I'm just going to go with it and read further. The thing that I wanted to say is that it's definitely not a very disabled conscious read. I understand that it's a historical romance, but also at the same time I think we could have found better words. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still very curious where this story is going to go. I'm just warning you about this because different people have different issues they're sensitive about. This is a very original and interesting premise, though, for a historical romance. So this is the end of the experiment. I will never do it again. Tell me if you've tried anything like that in the comments down below and how you've done. Tell me if you've read any of the books that I've read in this video. Leave some recommendations for me in the comments down below if you have them. If you're finished watching this video and you have nothing to say but you enjoyed it, leave the emoji of the clock because today's video had everything to do with time. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon with another one. But until then,